We've got a lot to discuss on the MeidasTouch podcast. I mean, it was a few days ago, Donald Trump was wandering aimlessly on the roof of the White House, shouting that he was building nuclear weapons on top of the roof, and then pointing around. The way his hands looked almost like a zombie. And he was like, I've bought all of this. This is all of me. This is all of my money. Right. And then he went on a financial show on CNBC that's like a MAGA financial show and was like, the European Union and Japan, they've given me the money. I have it now. Trillions of dollars I have right now. I can do whatever I want to it. I mean, it's all lies and it's totally deranged. And I guess the week then progressed and Donald Trump met with Tim Cook in the Oval Office, and Tim Cook handed Donald Trump a golden bar and was like, here's the gold for you, sir. Like, there's just literal bribes taking place. I mean, that won't be the front page of any news across the country, but like the biggest American company CEO is handing like a 5-pound gold bar to Donald Trump. And like, that's part of the like scheme. When you go to the Oval Office, you make a fake deal with him, some billions of dollars you pledge and never give. And then you have to give him like something gold. Like that same day, the Olympic Committee chair was there and gave Donald Trump like gold medals. And for FIFA, you had to give him the actual golden trophy. And then the team that wins gets like a replica. So you've got that going on. You've got Donald Trump moving the sex trafficker to a minimum security facility, just normal stuff taking place. And by the way, in Bryan, Texas, where they moved Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm doing a lot more research. I'm going to do a video about it for the morning. But did you know that facility where Ghislaine currently is, there's like no security guards. It used to be a like very well-known military prep school all for men. It's like a great facility that you want to be at. And it's in Bryan, Texas, which is right by Texas A&M. A college town. So there's a lot of reasons why sex traffickers shouldn't be there. And one of them is it's a college town. So a convicted sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving over 20 years, got a waiver to now be on a college town. And one of those things in those college towns also, I mean, with that prison, there's a lot of vocational opportunities to work in the community. So that's where Ghislaine is right now. Well, you've got Donald Trump bragging about meetings with Vladimir Putin. And then today said, I don't think Zelensky even needs to be there. And yesterday, Donald Trump saying, you know what, I'm not going to invite Europe to any of this. If we do the meetings, it'll either be me and Putin, and then maybe me, Putin, and Zelensky, but no Europe. Well, why do you think that is? We'll talk about that and more here on the MeidasTouch podcast. Brett and Jordy, how are you?
Doing well. Great to be here with you, Ben. Great to be here with you, Jordy. Great to be here with you, Meidas Mighty. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching live on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts, make sure that you're listening to us on those podcast platforms. By the way, brothers, Meidas Mighty, remember like just a few years ago, how different the news cycle was? Like we'd learn about Donald Trump doing something really corrupt and it'd be like in a leaked document, or it'd be like a whistleblower has said that Donald Trump was trying a quid pro quo with the president of Ukraine, was trying to pressure X, Y, and Z, was trying to do this corrupt act. Now, like they just does it on TV and everybody pretends like it's normal. Like you have Tim Cook strolling into the White House with like a literal gold bar being like, here you go, Mr. President. Can I please have favorable treatment, sir? You're like, how is this happening right now? And how is nobody acting like this isn't the 5-alarm fire that it so clearly is? We got a lot to discuss on this episode. And so I am going to toss it over to Jordy. Jordy, how's it going?
It's going, I guess, as well as it could be going under the circumstances. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. And thank you guys so much for leaving those 5-star reviews. I saw our reviews on Apple and Spotify keep climbing. So please, let me just remind y'all, hit that 5-star review if you have it on audio. It really helps us. If you can, comment as well. And obviously, make sure you're subscribed to the MeidasTouch Podcast on audio or wherever you get your podcast. Benji, where are we starting off today?
I think Ontario's Premier, Doug Ford, put it best. I mean, this guy, he's a conservative from the Conservative Party, used to actually be kind of a Trump supporter. But he's out there, asked a very simple question earlier today. What's the general feeling right now in Canada about Donald Trump? Watch what he says. Here, play this clip.
What's the general impression of Trump in Canada?
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada because he's attacked his closest family member, and that's the way we look upon it. And when I talk to the governors and senators and Congress people, Even Republicans totally disagree, but they're too scared to come out and say anything because the president will go after them. Outside of a few senators, and I want to thank them for coming out and standing with not just American people, but their closest friends and allies, which is Canada. And again, we love the Americans. It's unfortunate President Trump decided to go down this road.
That's the entire world. Elbows up, Canada. That's the entire world, though, right now, right? I mean, you could do the same interview with the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese. You can do the same with Japan. You can do the same in Europe. I mean, you can do the same across the globe right now. And we are really seeing a global realignment. While Donald Trump talks about these fake deals and goes, Japan's given me a signing bonus, the European Union's given me a signing bonus, 550 billion, 600 or 750 billion. South Korea, 24% of their GDP, they've given it to me a signing bonus. All these countries, if you read their local media the way I do, they're all saying there's no deal, okay? There's no binding agreement. We have the discretion to do high interest loans if we want to, but there is no actual binding agreement here at all. It's Donald Trump picking numbers and posting them on social media. But you look at this week, Prime Minister Modi makes an announcement that he's likely going to be meeting with Xi Jinping of China, right? Strengthening China's hand. You have Australia buying warships from Japan, even if they're pricier than the United States. You have Canada buying warplanes from France. You've got France and others in Europe saying we're not buying weapons from the United States. You've got Japan and Brazil working on deals together over beef. You have a whole world order that is reshuffling behind the scenes while Donald Trump, Brett and Jordy's in the Oval Office, ranting and raving like a lunatic. The world is adapting, and changing and forging alliances that are weakening the United States. When we'll talk about this in the show too, Donald Trump's attack on the climate and all of the lies they're saying about climate change, and the Department of Energy is shifting and changing reports to say that climate change is a good thing that benefits the environment, and we need to lean more into the root causes of climate change, because even though in the past the rest of the world and America says climate change is harmful, actually it's made things better, says the Trump regime. And of course, the Trump regime is attacking mRNA vaccines, which was an initiative of Trump's first administration, defunding vaccines. And so while the U.S. is doing that, you have China and the rest of the world focusing on areas of growth while the U.S. gets weaker, Brett and Jordy.
And Trump just always try, like the entire way that Trump runs his presidency and the way he's kind of run everything is he tries to be like an injector of serotonin into his followers' veins. He says things just over and over again that are complete and total lies to make people feel like they are somehow winning when the total opposite is happening. Because we talked about on the show many a times that you've heard me call it the reality deficit, that the reality that exists or that people are suffering right now. They're going to the store, they're paying higher prices. They are getting absolutely destroyed in so many ways. Just the cost of living is crazy, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. And that's just one of a billion issues right now that have gotten so much worse under Donald Trump. And so Trump just says the opposite. He has to always say, first, there's always the own the libs sort of element where he has to put down other people in order to make his people feel good. And then he just says the opposite of what's going on. We got these great deals. We got $600 billion coming into the country. We got trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars coming in from this country, from that country. Look how amazing it is. Look at the gold that I'm putting in the White House. Look at how tacky I've made the Rose Garden. He throws out all of these things nonstop to try to distract people and to try to make them think that things are actually going really well. And if you turn on Fox News, they're also a part of that entire machine, of course. Fox News, it's always been like this, but like as every day passes and as things get worse with the Trump administration, it looks more and more like North Korean TV. The way that they speak about the things happening in the Trump Trump administration, the way they go, great news happening right now, even when it's like the worst news imaginable. The global order is shifting. America is coming in last place right now in everything. We are throwing away our jobs. We are throwing away our status as a leader in the climate movement. We are throwing away our status as a global leader of humanitarian efforts. We are just totally throwing out everything that actually made the United States great, all for this con man who's taken over our government and just lies about everything.
And quite frankly, Brett, it's not even just Fox News. It's all corporate media at this point that's totally complicit. When Trump was on CNBC the other day, I mean, he was ranting and rambling like a madman, and they platformed the dude for like an hour. It's like, hey, you're the president of the United States. Don't you have to get to work? He dove into election denialism. He dove into all the great conspiracies, Brett, and they barely pushed, like maybe the tiniest pushback I've seen, but pretty much they were agreeable because why? They were going to get scared. They were getting scared of being called a name, or they were scared that he'd take the Truth Social after and then call them out. And what did you say, Brett?
Well, I was going to say, because here's the issue, and here's, I think, why it lands that way. These networks view the prototypical MAGA commentator, like in that case, I believe it was a Joe Kernan, who's like a MAGA guy. The Overton window has shifted so much in this country, and especially with the media, as you're saying, Jordy, that they view him as like, that's a centrist. That's the moderate. That's the middle right there. And so they have hosts like that who they think are like the middle of the road when they are anything but it. These are people who have very extreme views, who are pushing some of the most horrible stuff. But they, in their mind, in these networks, that legitimizes them, right? Well, look, we're not biased. Trump, don't call us fake news, right? They're so afraid of that nomenclature. Don't call us that. Look, we have moderate hosts who, and we're like, no, these are extremist MAGA crazy hosts. But you see all of these networks doing it. It's why you see, so many of these voices on these networks kind of resemble that. A lot of these people kind of fall down, these rabbit holes. You look at like what the hell happened to like a Chris Cuomo or something, right? Like that guy was at like a CNN. You watch him now, the guy's like a clown. But if you asked him, I'm sure he would view himself as, well, I'm just telling it how it is. I'm just in the center. I'm just the moderate. Everyone else is right. No, it's shifted so much right now that these people think that they are like, these central voices who represent the country when they are anything but it. And I've seen somebody break this down as well on social media. I thought it was brilliant. I wish I could give them credit right now. But essentially what they were saying was how all the incentive structures across everything lines up to just kind of put down the pro-democracy movement, right? If you're in the press, that shows that you're bipartisan, that you tell it how it is in order to, talk shit about Democrats all day. If you're a politician, it shows that you're a maverick. You're somebody who's going to buck the trend, buck the establishment, do that. If you're a video content creator, right, it shows I'm not part of the machine. I'm different. I'm outside the machine. Republicans have a benefit, obviously, of, hating on Democrats and hating on anybody in the pro-democracy movement as well. But it's really all sides that are kind of, incentivized to behave this certain way, which is why I think it's very important what we do here, which is like, why would you just try to throw people under the bus or put people down? We should be viewing everything through the lens of what is actually going on. Is this normal? And not let that shift of the Overton window consume us and make us believe that this is somehow normal behavior. Me waking up in the morning and seeing looking at my phone and seeing Donald Trump's on the roof of the White House. What he's shouting? What the fuck is going on here?
Diddler on the roof, B. Diddler on the roof. I mean, what are we even looking at? And Ben, I just wanted one more second. Donald Trump has caused irreparable damage to the United States. Period. Full stop. It's not some crazy statement. It's just fact. And when I say that I'm genuinely worried for my children and my children's children down the line of how they're going to grow up in America, I'm scared when I see all of these other nations that have not worked together in many years, all of a sudden forming these coalitions and literally boxing out America because America decided, hey, you know what? It's time for us to play isolationists. When in the history of the world has isolationism ever been the answer? I'll tell you, never. And to see Donald Trump just literally causing irreparable harm to our allies and countries and nations that we have worked with in the past for countless years. And now these people don't want any part of us. I don't know how we get back in their favor as far as, hey, no, we are actually normal, because the fact of the matter is we're not. Like, this country's insane under Donald Trump's leadership.
Well, because even if you put a normal administration in power, I don't know how a country ignores the taste that's always going to linger.
Exactly.
That this country's capable of putting somebody like a Donald Trump back in power. So how could you, even if you had the most normal administration, ever fully trust the full faith and credit of the United States again? I mean, you look at this data right here. The estimated drop in new international enrollment to American universities this fall, it's down 30 to 40%, which is very similar to the drop in tourism from around the world as well. You look at Las Vegas and other places that depend on tourism dollars. Remember Donald Trump saying no tax on tips? Well, you need tips in order for that to actually matter. And the people in Vegas and other service workers are talking about how their paychecks, by the way, a lot of them didn't declare their tips in general on their taxes, but that's a whole nother conversation. It's a deduction that's actually capped, but they're saying that their payments, that the amount of money that they made, their income is down in many cases by half. So they're struggling as well. If Donald Trump wants to brag that he's virtually closed the border, you know whose border's basically closed? North Korea, right? Not a lot of people going into North Korea. Why? Because one, they don't allow it. And two, you go there and you end up in a lot of trouble. In the United States, people see the images just this past week. I mean, just yesterday, right? Operation Trojan Horse is the new Trump regime mission, where they have ICE agents go and invade areas of Los Angeles, despite there being a federal injunction blocking this behavior, as affirmed by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. They pack in 30 to 40 ICE agents in the back of a Penske truck, so it looks like a moving truck. And then they all jump out at the same time. I mean, the scene is out of like a war movie made in Hollywood. And then they run out in an area where migrants are known to be at or work at. And then they run and they chase them, and then they hunt them, and then they grab them by their necks, almost like a hunter finding a duck that they shot down. And they grab them, and then they film them grabbing them by their necks and just stripping them of their dignity. Now, they then film this propaganda to post on the websites of the Department of Homeland Security for this fascist ISIS-style propaganda under the words, I'm not making this up, this is on Department of Homeland Security's website and on their posts, defend your culture is what they say. And they're having 18-year-olds now apply and get these jobs where they get these weapons of war right away. And in a very short period of time, without a lot of training or almost no training, they get put on the streets to do this while a federal court order is blocking this. And this is what's happening in our towns, in our communities, in our cities. And we're hearing the stories about people from Canada, Europe, elsewhere, showing up and then being detained indefinitely and being disappeared. Brett and Jordy.
Yeah. And, I think we could tie a lot of this stuff together as well. We were speaking about the economy and how things are a lot of really horrible economic signs, how people in Vegas are really suffering, how people who have federal jobs are really suffering, how a lot of companies out there have done employment freezes or freezes on bonuses, are conducting layoffs. And I think that actually ties into what's going on with ICE, and especially if you look at the incentives that the federal government is trying to create right now, which is, as Ben said, they lowered the requirement to get into ICE in terms of age. So now like teenagers could become ICE agents. But that's not all. They also got rid of the college requirement and the requirement that you actually need experience to do this job. And now they're just posting online statements like Ben said about protect your culture, which shows that this isn't about preventing, illegal activity or crimes. That is a very loud, I don't even know if it's a dog whistle, it's so overt, but I'll just call it a very loud dog whistle, basically to dangerous groups like the Proud Boys, like the 3%ers, you name it, to come join ICE and legally terrorize people using the United States government, the full force and backing of the United States government with weapons. And they're also incentivizing people to become ICE agents by, all this, they're making people suffer with their student loan debt. They're making, everything unaffordable. But if you're an ICE, guess what? You get a retention bonus for like $50,000 or something if you remain there after a month or whatever the policy is. So you get bonuses, you get, I think they're doing student loan forgiveness for ICE agents. Like they're adding all of these things to incentivize people to become ICE agents, and they're making people suffer in their own lives, almost making that the job that they have to take. So they are building an army through our suffering. And I think that tactic, as you see, as they make the people suffer and then offer, oh, so you want to survive. And the South Park episode last night actually like hit on this like exactly. But if you want to survive, you want to be able to pay for your lifestyle, you want to be able to keep up with the cost of living. Well, maybe you start terrorizing immigrant communities for the United States government. It's totally sick stuff.
No, absolutely. They are preying on people's anger that they in fact manifested. And I also just want to clarify, Brett, they didn't just lower the age requirement, they removed the age requirement. So it used to be if you were 37 years old, that was the cap. But now it's any age at all can go and join. And it's to that point exactly, Brett. They have rallied up their base in such a way and have basically given them one lane that they could occupy. Take out your anger, become an ICE agent, and chase down migrants. That's what they're telling their base right now, and just preying on these people's hate. That's why for me too, this isn't even a Democrat or Republican thing. Like how many times do we say that on the show? It's just a basic humanity thing. The way Ben described those raids is exactly how it's going down. Chasing people and grabbing them by their necks like they're ducks. It's absolutely appalling, and it should hit everyone at their core that this is what they're doing to people,
And the thing is, they are doing it to film it for their White House Instagram and for social media. That would never actually be the way you would do an army formation, to stack all of your soldiers in a truck like that, because one drone can take it out right away. They're doing it because it is intimidating to see all of these people run out and sprint and start chasing people down and beating them on the streets. They want people to be terrified. They're trying to create, and they are creating, terror in the streets of the United States. Well, one other point I want to make very quickly right here as well. To the point, Jordy, this isn't a red, blue, Democrat, Republican. This is just a fact issue. When anyone you may know talks to you about deals, you need to ask them a basic question. Where's the deal? Like, it's the most fundamental question. Where is it? Not Donald Trump's social media post. Can you actually show me the contract? Can you show me a binding deal between Trump and any country at all? I mean, no, not the social media post, a written document that requires obligations. The moment you ask that question and your MAGA buddy goes, oh, you just got to trust Trump, just trust Trump, then you basically take it to the final conclusion of, okay, got it. At the end of the day, you really don't care about having an honest discussion, because there's no paperwork at the end of the day. There's really no deal. There's no terms. It's just a bunch of made up propaganda, while the rest of the world is existing with real deals and terms and bilateral and trilateral free trade agreements. Donald Trump's out here collecting golden statues and gold bricks from the CEO of America's companies and gold medals, and bragging about that he should get the Purple Heart like he did at a Purple Heart event earlier today. It's ridiculous. It's weak. And the fundamentals of the American economy are weak. And you could go, oh, but the stock market, it's a Ponzi scheme market right now. The fundamentals of the country, if you look at them, America exporting down. If you look at the job losses, 75% more job losses now this time than it was last year under Biden. Way more job losses right now. The economy's fundamentals, home prices. If you look at mortgage rate, you take any aspect of the economy right now, and it is struggling right now. And when Donald Trump's like, oh, well, the costs are going down, I've eliminated inflation. Just people know that's not true. It's not true. And we have to have accurate, objective conversations about all of this. We'll talk about that and more. We got to take our first quick break of the show. A reminder to everybody, please, if you can, become a member of our YouTube channel. The memberships have been so key. We've grown with zero outside investors thanks to you. Please help grow this network, and you can gift memberships to as many people as you want. People can't afford memberships, and if you are able and so fortunate to gift the memberships, and it unlocks emojis and special podcast episodes like the one I do with Ron Filipkowski. So check it out, become a member, click join, and gift as many memberships as you can. All right, let's take our first quick break of the show, everyone. We'll be right back with a lot more on the MeidasTouch Podcast.
So you ever look in the mirror, spot a couple grays, and think, wait, when did that happen? Yeah, same. I've tried the drugstore kits. Total mess. Gone the salon route. Takes forever and costs a fortune. I needed something quicker, cleaner, and just simpler. This podcast is sponsored by Simpler Hair Color. Simpler Hair Color is the easiest way to eliminate grays. Modern men deserve simpler, safer ways to care for their appearance. With Simpler Hair Color, you've got gentler ingredients without the messy mixing or constant trips to the salon or drugstore. If you are tired of conducting a science experiment every time you need to dye your grays, you need to try Simpler Hair Color. I had a big meeting last week and wanted to look sharp. I grabbed my Simpler Hair Color, used the dark brown shade, and boom, gray's gone. No drips, no drama, just pump, apply, wait, and rinse. That is it. It was founded by Snehal Patel and Mitch Brown, two guys who were tired of the hassle and built a product that works on hair and beard with one can that lasts as long as 4 boxes of store-bought dye. I love that it's made in the USA, has over 9,500 5-star reviews, and lets me feel more confident without irritating my skin. Say goodbye to grays the easy way with Simpler Hair Color. Head to simplerhaircolor.com/Meidas and use code Meidas20 for 20% off your order. That's simplerhaircolor.com/Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, and use promo code Meidas20, M-E-I-D-A-S 20, so that they know I sent you.
The weather is heating up, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating, so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Now, using those silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, no matter the weather, so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle Made sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than the sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Upgrade your sleep as the weather heats up. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Meidas at checkout, you'll get free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Meidas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Let's go. Shout out to our sponsors. Links in description of both the YouTube and the audio. Use the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, let them know we sent you. Huge fans of both of those. Simpler Hair Color and Miracle Made have been with us for quite some time. So check them out. They're fantastic, both incredible. Benji, where to next?
So Donald Trump made his real estate buddy the special envoy to Russia, a guy by the name of Steve Witkoff. He's the guy who puts his hand on his heart whenever he sees Putin, and he's the guy who shows up without anybody from the United States embassy and allows Putin to put Putin's own KGB operatives as the translator for Witkoff. Like Witkoff, okay, I'll just use you as my translator. I'll hang out with you all day. Whenever Witkoff rolls into town in Russia also, it's covered the way they cover like car chases in Los Angeles, because they make a spectacle of it that America's here basically begging. Like that's how it's framed on Russian propaganda. And whenever he's there, the leaders in Europe and Zelensky always know Donald Trump is about to taco. Trump always chickens out when it comes to sanctions against Russia. And Witkoff will say, I had a major breakthrough in the conversations with Putin. There's never actually a breakthrough at all. It's just Putin saying, I want to meet with Donald. We should have a meeting. And then Donald's like, oh, you want to meet with me? And then Russia will just continue killing innocent Ukrainians. Let's just all not forget. Let's just pull it back for a second, right? Donald Trump promised there would be peace in Ukraine in 24 hours from taking office. Now Donald Trump's line is that was a joke, that he was being sarcastic, the same way he was joking and being sarcastic about bringing peace to Gaza in 24 hours. These are all jokes, according to him, never actually meant it. It's actually pretty challenging stuff. And of course, he was being sarcastic. We played multiple clips of Donald Trump saying that. Well, here Donald Trump yesterday says, my special envoy, Steve Witkoff, just had a highly productive meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Great progress was made. Great progress, like Borat. Afterwards, I updated some of our European allies. Success! Everyone agrees this war must come to a close, and we will work towards that in days and weeks to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. As Jay and Keeve and others who cover this stuff, right? Trump getting conned by Putin yet again. So Donald Trump's asked at a press conference yesterday, how do you know Putin's not playing you? Because he's done this now to you since you've taken office, as everybody predicted he would. You know, Putin will dangle things in front of you while Putin starts bringing in North Korean troops and others onto the front lines to try to advance in this summer offensive. And Putin's just trying to buy time, build the differences between the United States and NATO allies, and continue to attack cities in Ukraine. So Donald Trump's asked, so what's the difference right now? And then Donald Trump's response, as always, is a few weeks. I just need a few weeks. Here, let's play this clip.
President, in the past, you said you would know if Putin was tacking you along. What gives you any confidence that he is or isn't doing that this time around?
Can't answer the question yet. I'll tell you in a matter of weeks, maybe less.
You know, a good follow-up would be, didn't you promise, though, there would be peace in 24 hours? So Donald Trump then calls our European allies, or frankly, former European allies, based on the way Trump's treating him, and says, I'm going to meet with Putin. You can't be there. And maybe Zelensky and Putin meets, but if there's a meeting between Zelensky and Putin and me, Europe, you can't be there. That's one of the conditions. So he holds a conference call with Europe and says, you're out. This is exactly what Putin wants. Why? Because Putin wants a 2-on-1. He wants Putin and Trump to bully Zelensky the way you saw J.D. Vance and Trump do it in the Oval Office. That's the scene that they want to set up. Why wouldn't you want Europe to be there? So Donald Trump is asked, even today, so with your meeting with Putin, does Zelensky have to be involved in this at all? Just listen to what Donald Trump says. Here, play this clip.
So you're willing to, that's actually important because President Putin said this morning he was pretty dismissive of this idea of meeting with President Zelensky. President Putin was.
I don't know. I didn't hear
For
him.
you to meet with him, he doesn't have to agree to meet with Zelensky. Is that what you're saying?
No, he doesn't. No.
So when do you think that meeting?
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing. So last month, they lost 14,000 people killed last month. Every week is 4,000 or 5,000 people. So I don't like long waits. I think it's a shame.
So Putin says he doesn't want to meet with Zelensky. One more clip, Brett, then I'll throw it over to you. So Trump is asked, so is tomorrow a deadline to impose secondary sanctions on Russia? What's going on with that? And Donald Trump says, actually, I'm just going to leave it for Putin to decide, because Putin will be the one who decides if there'll be sanctions against them or not. Here, play this clip.
President, does your deadline for Vladimir Putin agreeing to a ceasefire still stand tomorrow? Is that fluid now that talks are...
What?
Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
Do you have to meet with...
Brett.
I mean, the guy's just such a coward. You know, he talks such a tough game. He lied to the American people over and over and over again, saying that this was all going to be solved within 24 hours. Not even from his election. He said it was going to be 24 hours since since the election, not even for his inauguration. And you could give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, once he's in office, maybe he'll take care of this. Well, what's happened? People like Vladimir Putin know how to play Donald Trump. They know Donald Trump's weak points. They know that Donald Trump just likes people sucking up to him. They know that Donald Trump is easily manipulated. I mean, Putin was a KGB agent. He knows exactly how to manipulate somebody as simple-minded as Donald Trump. And we see him doing just that. And every time he gets this extension, that's more Ukrainians who are dying. That's more destruction. That's a win for Putin. And so he knows that he could just continue to string Donald Trump along here. And Trump has also obviously alienated us from so many of our allies and continues to do so the way that he's handling this entire crisis right now, this Russian invasion, that it makes America weaker and makes us less able to deal with this. I know we're going to talk soon also, but the same thing's happening in Gaza, obviously, as well, where Donald Trump talked a big game, led a lot of people on in these communities across the United States, saying that he was going to solve this issue. He was going to put an end to the death, the destruction at the hands of Netanyahu and that government. And all we're seeing right now is him also giving Netanyahu the green light to completely take over and occupy Gaza. We'll show what he's saying about that also. But this shouldn't be shocking to anybody who's followed Donald Trump, to anybody who knows who Donald Trump is. But the fact that he's been able to fool so many people into thinking that he's someone he's not, to me, always just absolutely blows my mind when the evidence is just staring you in the face, Jordy.
What infuriates me, and I hate the constantly beating on corporate media is bad at their jobs, but corporate media is bad at their jobs, flat out. Let's play everyone's favorite segment. Imagine if Biden did it. Imagine if President Biden said that he was going to end a war, any war, in 24 hours, and he didn't. You bet your ass that he'd be asked every single time that he was in front of cameras, Mr. Biden, Mr. President, you said you were going to end the war in 24 hours. Why is it still going on? For me, it stops and ends with that. Yes, I know Donald Trump's on record now saying, oh, I was being sarcastic when I said that. Really? I mean, we all played the clips. No, that was like a key focal point of his campaign when he was running, that he was going to end these wars in 24 hours. What are we, over 100 plus days now? Well over. And these wars are still raging, if not getting worse. And so I just don't understand why no one has the backbone or the spine to meet him there and say, hey, President Trump, you said during the campaign trail, these wars would be over by now. What is happening? Why are you letting President Putin, I put president in quotes there, why are you letting him dictate the timeline to your deadlines that you put? Why is it now up to Putin to decide what's going on? You said and you promised the American people this would be over within 24 hours and people are still dying. Why? And you know what? Ultimately, it comes down to they're scared of losing their access. And that is just so cowardly to me. And that's why I love that we have this platform here in the Meidas Mighty, is to hold these folks accountable and especially hold Donald Trump accountable for, once again, another failed promise, Ben.
So then Donald Trump is asked if he would support Israel annexing Gaza and just fully reoccupying it. We know that a lot of our allies, or I should say former allies, right, whether it's Canada, Australia, France, the UK, and others, are clearly recognizing the Palestinian state and being very vocal and public about that. So the media is asking, well, what are you going to do, Donald? Because you said you would bring peace to Gaza in 24 hours. There were all of those events with Muslims for Trump, Palestinian for Trump event. At the time when I was covering it, I was like, Palestinian for Trump? What are you doing? Muslims for Trump? Do you not remember the first administration? When they would say at these events, Donald Trump has guaranteed us peace. I remember the one in Michigan. He guarantees us peace in Gaza. He's given us his word. Then there was the other one where I think Trump handed him like a peace stone. This
I have the clip too.
What'd you say?
I said I actually have the clip if you want to play it.
Yeah, play it.
He promises peace, not war. We are supporting Donald Trump because he promised to end war in the Middle East and Ukraine.
All right, well, here's what Donald Trump said when he was asked if he would support Israel reoccupying Gaza. Play it.
Next to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you support Israel reoccupying all of Gaza, as has been suggested by some Israeli officials?
Well, I don't know what the suggestion is. I know that we are there now trying to get people fed. As you know, $60 million was given by the United States fairly recently to supply food, and a lot of food, frankly, for the people of Gaza that are obviously not doing too well with the food. And I know Israel's going to help us with that in terms of distribution and also money. We also have the Arab states are going to help us with that in terms of the money and possibly distribution. So that's what I'm focused on. As far as the rest of it, I really can't say. That's going to be pretty much up to Israel. Yeah, please.
Okay, Israel, what do you have to say? Netanyahu, here, play this clip.
You will go immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
You know, people aren't buying what Netanyahu is selling right now. It's actually good to see some Jewish Congress members. We're Jewish, and I just want to be very clear that criticizing Netanyahu and Netanyahu's regime does not make you anti-Semitic, okay? You should be able to criticize the atrocities that Netanyahu is committing for his own personal power grab while he's under criminal prosecution, doing the Trump tactics, firing the attorney general who's prosecuting him, and engaging in the exact types of dictatorial tactics we see from Donald Trump. And to see people like Congressmember Dan Goldman, for example, came out with a statement that called out Netanyahu. I was glad to see statements like that. You know, and I think we can't be silent in the face of what's taking place in the atrocities in Gaza. But what Donald Trump is enabling are those atrocities. And in other clips, you know, Donald Trump's out there saying, but no one's thanking me. I've given them millions of dollars. Like, you gave 3 million, I think, maybe, which is not addressing systemically the issue. And again, he makes it about himself. No one's thanking me. Why aren't I being thanked?
Yeah, let me actually, I could elaborate on that. So, you know, he says 60 million, only 3 million has actually been dispersed. And remember, this is after the blocking of other aid groups and that were bringing aid into Gaza. And so there was a system that was already underway. And what happened now is it's like a US contractor who now has the gig, who's getting money in order to do these aid drops. So it's also, once again, done in like a very selfish way that's enriching somebody. You know, probably I got to dive into it deeper. Like I'm going to assume this person is a person with a connection to Trump who got this contract to do this. But we're just seeing time and time again, just the most heinous actions, and then the defense of them, which is just total gaslighting, whether it's from people like Netanyahu or whether it's from people like Trump. And you see the game they're playing. To me, it's a pretty obvious game. And we've seen from the reporting about what top officials of both governments are saying, that the United States has given Netanyahu and that government a total green light to completely decimate Gaza and take it over and turn it into a resort strip. Like they've given him the green light. So you'll have Trump say things like, oh yeah, we're just going to let them do whatever they want to do. Israel will do whatever Israel wants to do. And you know, what can we do about it? We can't do it. It's whatever they want to do. And you see Netanyahu, you know, responded the way he does. I think their agreement is very clear, even when they don't say it directly, but we know it from even what they are saying and from the reporting that we're seeing, what their intent is. I, you know, wish I could go back in time and scream louder and louder the way we were screaming back then, that this is not the guy who is going to solve this issue. But we're obviously, you know, past that point, and I'm not sure it would have, you know, done much anyway. But, you know, it's an important issue that we have to talk about and we have to keep speaking about here. And we have talked about it for a while here, and we'll continue to talk about it, you know, just unapologetically.
Look, let's take our last quick break of the show. We've got a lot to discuss when we return. I do want to address, I'm going to do a deep dive into this in the morning as well, but I want to talk about the expose I'm going to be working on for the morning. Ghislaine Maxwell, we all know she's been moved to this minimum security facility, but more needs to be talked about that. The level of cooperation between the facility and Texas A&M, they work very close together. They have lots of prisoners working in programs with Texas A&M, a lot of clinics. So you've literally put a sex trafficker whose MO was preying on young girls who are working in spas to be on a college campus right next to college students, the same way you had Donald Trump have Lawrence Taylor, a convicted sex offender who sexually assaulted a 16-year-old girl, leading children initiatives, children fitness initiatives, putting a guy who sexually assaulted a 16-year-old girl to do those types of initiatives, normalizing sexual predation, normalizing this pedo behavior, covering up a pedo sex trafficking ring. Let's take our last quick break. Oh, reminder, become a member. Become a member of our YouTube channel. Gift memberships to others. It is such a big help to the network. You click join and you can gift unlimited memberships to people who may not be able to afford them, and it helps the network so much. All right, last quick break of the show. Home stretch, folks.
It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains squeezed, and cash flow tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you're in for a world of hurt. You need total visibility, from global shipments to tariff impacts to real-time cash flow. That's NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite, trusted by over 41,000 businesses. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for many reasons. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, HR into one suite. You have one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control that you need to make quick decisions. With real-time forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. And with AI embedded throughout, you can automate a lot of those everyday tasks, letting your team stay strategic. NetSuite helps you know what's stuck, what's costing you, and how to pivot fast. I use this and you should too. It's one system, full control. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/Meidas. That's netsuite.com/Meidas. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Now these days it feels like there's advice for everything. Cold plunges, gratitude journals, screen detoxes. But how do you know what actually works for you? With the internet and information overload about mental health and wellness, it can be a struggle to know what's true and what actions to take these days. Using trusted resources and talking to live therapists can get you personalized recommendations and help you break through the noise. Now, I've personally benefited from therapy. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to become the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client reviews. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life, plus switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Meidas. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Meidas.
It's summer, and if you're anything like me, figuring out what to make for dinner while juggling work, family, and everything in between can feel like a full-time job. That's where Home Chef comes in. I've been absolutely loving this service. Home Chef delivers fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes right to your doorstep to simplify your cooking experience. I've had meals like herb butter filet mignon, pesto shrimp couscous, and mahi-mahi with roasted tomatillo salsa. These dishes are always spot on. Whether you're into quick 30-minute recipes, microwave meals, or kid-friendly dishes, Home Chef's got something for everyone. They've got over 30 weekly options and even new 5-ingredient meals that make dinner ridiculously easy, and I love knowing that I'm saving money. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 a month on groceries. Using of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef #1 in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/Meidas. That's homechef.com/Meidas, MEIDAS, for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/Meidas. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
Man, shout out Home Chef. That is an incredible offer. Links in description of YouTube and audio. Use the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, please let them know we sent you. Benji, where to next, big bro?
Let's talk about what Donald Trump said when he was asked about a meeting that took place last night at the White House. The meeting took place regarding a number of topics, but also how Donald Trump was going to further cover up the Epstein files, further cover up his dark past, and deal with what his next steps are with Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump refers to everything Epstein related as a hoax. Just think about if you were one of the hundreds or thousands of victims of Epstein, and Donald Trump's there saying, it's a hoax, this is all one hoax. And Donald Trump bringing Ghislaine Maxwell to this minimum security facility in Bryan, Texas, rewarding Ghislaine Maxwell. We went from release the Epstein files to Trump releasing the convicted sex trafficker, co-conspirator of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. And nobody wanted that, obviously, other than Donald Trump. So first, here's Donald Trump at the press conference calling everything a hoax. Here, play this clip.
Mr. President.
The two Kevins, very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw a report today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay?
And the cursing right there, and then calling it a hoax, which, by the way, even if he doesn't pardon or commute the sentence of Ghislaine, which I'm pretty confident he's going to do, he's already handed her the retrial. And he's given her the facility where she's basically living in the most sought-after federal prison that's out there, where they had to give her a waiver because she is convicted of sex trafficking.
Well, Ben, when people speak about like the Epstein case as a cover-up in the past, and they speak about the prison and everything that happened, even going back to, you know, what Acosta did, who ended up in the Trump administration, the sweetheart deal. Like, I'm like, you don't even have to look at the past. Like, the cover-up is happening right now. We are like the scandal. The biggest part of the whole scandal, honestly, may be happening before our eyes right now. What Donald Trump is saying every day, what Trump and his team are doing every day. And by the way, they did in fact have a meeting last night. It wasn't at JD Vance's residence. It ended up being at the White House. So JD Vance acting all smarmy. Oh, you need to get better sources with that reporting. Well, they did have the Epstein meeting. It just so happened to be in the White House. They changed venues so that they could call it fake news. That was what happened. So, you know, I guess it was a meeting that didn't exist about files that never existed, but they felt it was important to have that meeting. But this cover up that we're witnessing, what we're dealing with Ghislaine, moving her to this cushy facility, club fed over in Bryan, Texas, like this is the scandal. This is probably the biggest part of the scandal. And I think, you know, I know we're all looking at it right now as like, holy shit, do we see what's going on? I think years from now, we're all going to look at this moment and go, holy crap, that was like the most horrifying thing that's maybe ever happened, like in a very long time.
Yes, 1000%. I always think to myself, like during this time period too, again, I'm bringing up my child who's turning 2 pretty soon, which is crazy. Like, he's going to be an adult one day and he's going to be like, hey dad, you know, where'd you side on this whole thing? Like, and I'm just glad that it's all very well documented where we planted our flag during this insane point of history. I mean, you look at that clip that we just played, my blood boils looking at that. One, he calls it the Epstein hoax, which is just a slap in the face to every single victim, every single child that was raped by Jeffrey Epstein and that whole gang of lunatics and pedophiles. I mean, really pathetic and gross stuff. Calls it a hoax. And how about the chuckleheads in the back, Vance, the whole team behind them, just laughing it up at that reporter's question. I mean, the fact that they don't treat this with the level of severity that it desperately needs, and that the American people want. People want answers to the Epstein files. We should be calling it the Epstein-Trump files at this point because of the cover-up. And exactly to your point, Brett, we will, and generations will be looking back at this moment of history and being like, the cover-up was right in front of everybody's faces and no one was able to hold his feet to the fire. And again, that's why I'm glad that we've planted the flag, the collective we, the Meidas Mighty, the MeidasTouch Network, and are bringing facts, data, and receipts to the table every single day. That clip makes my blood boil.
Well, Donald Trump was asked if he had anything to do with the transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell to the Camp Bryan prison facility. Watch his answer here. Play this clip.
I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody. And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
Two questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man. His name is Todd Blanche.
When he goes, it's not a very uncommon thing, which tells you he knows about it. It was also a confession before that as well. We're trying to avoid things coming out about people, like he's clearly, in my opinion, referring to himself. This is the most unprecedented thing. This has never happened before, where you move a convicted sex trafficker to a minimum security facility. And I'm going to have a Texas official on in the morning, so everybody make sure you check the videos that I have in the morning. But this Camp Bryan facility, it's right next to Texas A&M. It's a college town. So because it's a minimum security facility, that the prisoners do programs with the college kids. That's part of it. So for our audio listeners, you can't see it, but this is an announcement. Texas A&M supports the prison puppy raising program, where you have the females in the detention, because it's supposed to be minimum risk, not sex traffickers. They go into the college and there's not police around them. They walk there. They take a bus because there's no fencing or gates. You can just walk right out. There's no security guards at the prison. You could potentially walk, to the campus. You show up and you work with the students. Like Ghislaine Maxwell is someone who walked to Mar-a-Lago, found underage girls, and then sex trafficked them. So if you just think about in the last 2 weeks, Donald Trump brings in Lawrence Taylor, convicted sex offender. He's on the registration list of sex offenders for having sexually assaulted an underage girl. He gets appointed to be the head of the fitness initiative for children, for young girls. So he's going to be supervising potentially young girls in a fitness program. Think about that. I mean, just think about the things. Donald Trump getting handed gold bars by the Apple CEO. Trump on the roof talking about nuclear weapons that he's building on the roof and saying, I've bought everything here. Trump having a individual who's on the sex registration list for sexually assaulting an underage girl, leading the children's program. Donald Trump putting Ghislaine Maxwell into a minimum security facility on a college town. Just think about the things that I just said. And I'm not hyperbolic. I'm just literally giving you the objective data of what's occurred. And that should be deeply alarming. Just think about those things. Those things should be 25th Amendment, impeachable offenses, criminal. I'm sure whatever the hell's in these Epstein files is cataclysmic for Trump, but just think about what I just said.
Yeah, the things that we've seen with our own eyes right now. And it brings me back to what I said in the beginning of the episode. Imagine if the stuff was just like revealed in reports or leaked emails or leaked audio recordings. It's happening right in front of our face. And so I guess that blunts the effect of it for some odd reason. I want to also just remind everybody too, Donald Trump, best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, best friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. That was his crew. That was his crew for a very long time. And not only was his crew Epstein and Ghislaine, he was perhaps better friends with Ghislaine. They were friends for a longer period of time. And Trump was also friends with Ghislaine Maxwell's father. They go way, 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 way back. So now think about all of this in the context that Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell have been best family friends for decades and decades and decades. Trump would hang out with her father. Ghislaine was a socialite. Her father was Robert Maxwell. Big business guy, Robert Maxwell. And Robert Maxwell, he had a boat. The boat was called the Lady Ghislaine, named after Ghislaine Maxwell, his daughter. And who would go on parties on that boat? The Lady Ghislaine boat. Donald Trump would go on parties with Ghislaine Maxwell's father when Ghislaine Maxwell was a kid. They go way, way, way back. And once you kind of remember that also, not that you needed that to put two and two together, but it just shows you, it's so obvious what he's trying to do here. He's trying to help out his whole buddy. And as a political system, as a Republican Party, as the people in the administration, you have a fork in the road when you get to this point. This is something you've been talking about. This is something that you've said you've cared about. This has been one of your biggest issues. You go, okay, do I actually go ahead and I move ahead with my values and I denounce child sex trafficking and I say that this is despicable what Donald Trump is doing in his relationship to all of it? Or do I protect the sex traffickers? We've seen what 99.9% of the people in the Republican Party have decided.
Yeah, and look, Jim Jordan, before he became a Congress member, covered up sex abuse. I mean, if you go back and look at these people's backgrounds, their backgrounds are also deeply problematic as well. Brett, one thing about Robert Maxwell, he died mysteriously on the Lady Ghislaine, apparently naked, peeing off the side of the boat is what the story was at the time. Turns out he was a complete fraud. He was robbing the pension funds relating to his companies. That's where he was getting a lot of his money from. He then bankrupted his children. Does the story sound familiar? And then Ghislaine reinvented herself basically with Epstein and then brought kind of Trump along in the late 80s and 90s. And there are articles from 1997 in the Sunday Mirror, which was owned by Robert Maxwell, about Ghislaine. They called her Madam Maxwell or Madam Ghislaine, finding young women to give to Donald Trump. It literally says that in 1997. And we cover all of this on the MeidasTouch Network. But one thing I want to point out as well, I just want to show you, this to me is emblematic of all of the issues with this Trump regime. I talked earlier about the mRNA issue, Trump defunding mRNA vaccines, which Trump, pushed ahead in his first administration. But they're defunding vaccine research right now. And then separately, though, on the climate front, you have Donald Trump's Secretary of Energy making reports that say climate change is good for the climate and great for the environment, and it's a win for all of us. So let me just show you his Secretary of Energy promoting climate change as a way to help the climate. And they're doing reports on this. Here, play this clip.
The Department of Energy, meanwhile, released its climate report assessing the impact of greenhouse gas emissions. It includes carbon dioxide-induced warming may be less damaging than previously believed, which many people expected. The DOE is receiving pushback, however, from the New York Times. The Times writes that the Energy Department is attacking climate science in contentious report. Secretary, your reaction?
Oh, what a crazy headline, but I guess that's par for the course for the New York Times. In fact, we're doing the exact opposite. We're exposing the American people and the broader scientific community to what actually is in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reports, not the hyperbolic summaries for policymakers or media headlines that claim all sorts of crazy stuff. This is what we actually know. How often do you hear that the planet's getting greener because there's more carbon dioxide in the air that contributes to increased crop productivity and greater wilderness, greener wilderness? How often do you hear that deaths from extreme weather have been falling like a stone for a century, and that insured losses from extreme weather events have been on a multi-decadal decline? Those are just facts. Instead, we're scaring kids in school. We're promoting an alarmist view of climate change that's simply contrary to the facts. It's a real physical phenomenon that we want to talk about honestly and openly, but we got to get past the scaremonger campaign that you can't do this because of climate change, or the government's going to stop your plans here to fight climate change. Just nonsense.
Well, that is just incredible. You are so right. Look, Secretary...
You are so right. That is just incredible. You know, it reminds me, you know, thinking back before our time, when they ran cigarette ads saying that cigarettes were healthy for people, right? And you had the slogans, isn't there like a camel slogan? More doctors smoke camels, and it's great for your, it's great for your relaxation. And yeah, I mean, they would have ads like that back in the day, like that. But that's exactly what this is exactly like the stuff that this guy is saying. And we see just the stripping away of these environmental protections just every single day, these assaults on the climate using shoddy data and lies. And not only are they ruining the climate, they're also taking away good paying American jobs, and they're setting us way back also in the fight against climate compared to other countries. Like whenever we do something like that, or when China sees that, they laugh at us because they are right now in a position to be the world leaders in this industry when the United States actually had a jump start on it because of all these projects. And we see, like, if you look at the Project 2025 tracker that's online, they've already accomplished something like 47% of Project 2025. And this is all tied into exactly that. And you see just constantly, like everywhere you look, like the Environmental Protection Agency announced the termination of the $7 billion Solar for All grant program, which aimed to facilitate solar panel installation for low and moderate income households and expand community solar initiatives. That, by the way, a lot of those projects were already underway. Now they have to stop them midway, which is going to screw so many things up as well. And that was going to be so many jobs also for like red states in particular. Like that's where a lot of these projects were going to be. They also just shut down like a satellite, a NASA missions that were monitoring greenhouse gas emissions and plant health. It's like a massive, it's like one of the top sources of data for scientists, for farmers, for policymakers relating to the climate. And you have retired NASA scientists now, they're sounding the alarm. Like, this is not okay. This guy, David Crisp, who's a retired NASA scientist, he led the development of this program. He said that these satellites help scientists discover that the Amazon rainforests emit more carbon dioxide that it absorbs, that other forests in Canada, Russia, and places where permafrost is melting absorb more than they emit. They detect the glow of photosynthesis in plants, which helps monitor drought and predict food shortages that could lead to civil unrest and famine. So tracking the climate, being on top of these issues, investing in this space, it's important for humanity. It's important for jobs, for cost of living. It's important for obviously just the environment in general. And they are throwing this all away using these lies that resemble these cigarette campaigns that they ran in the 50s, trying to act like the destruction is good for you.
Absolutely there, Brett. And I want to give people some good news about our friends at the AFL-CIO. We've been embedded in their tours promoting unions. They're in Chicago right now, and they've been traveling the country, meeting with union workers, talking about organizing, talking about wages, talking about ensuring that people get fair pay. So a shout out to all of our friends at the AFL-CIO. I want to remind everybody, become a member of our YouTube channel. Memberships go a long way to help us build. There it is right there, Brett. Liz Schuler, the president of AFL-CIO, and the Better in a Union bus tour, building worker power nationwide in Chicago. America's unions came together to train for peaceful mass mobilization, so they have the tools to fight for working people and secure the strong new contracts they've earned and deserve. And Liz Schuler's always been a fighter for workers. She's never wavered at all in her career. And shout out to the great folks at AFL-CIO for doing that great tour. Everybody become members of our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Please, if you can, click join. You can gift memberships to other people as well. Since we've grown with zero outside investors, you being able to become a member helps a lot. Subscribe to our audio podcast. Make sure you subscribe there. Leave 5-star reviews. Comment if you like the podcast. Share the network with as many people as you can. Keep checking in about every 90 minutes. We have new updates on the MeidasTouch YouTube channel. Check out MeidasPlus.com. That's our Substack. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time on the MeidasTouch Podcast. Thank you, everyone. Jordy, take it away.
Shout out to the Meidas Mighty! Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.